ways you can win in wrestling. You can win by a fall, a tech fall, a decision. But if you're a guest here today, you can be a major decision. Sir, if you would, tell us who you are.
I am Caleb Wood, currently stationed out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I'm a major in the United States Army as a fire support officer.
That is absolutely awesome. And we will talk more about the plaques and the service flags and everything behind you. But before you got into the Army, before becoming major, whenever you said major, Dominic Black, we done his video. Are you familiar with Dominic Black?
Unfortunately not.
Okay, Dominic Black retired from the Army as a lieutenant colonel. He was, I think, a 4 or 5 time world champion out of Henry Clay. His video is on the channel. And the KHSAA actually did a piece on him, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 years ago now. And I thought he was still a major. And I got this big idea. I was like, I'm going to call Dominic the major decision. And I get down there and he's a retired lieutenant colonel. I was like, man, I've got to throw in the phrase major decision for somebody that was in the Army or some type of military. And lo and behold, here you are. So that's going to be your new name, the major decision, Caleb Wood. So
thank you.
What grade do you start wrestling in school? Are you elementary, middle school, high school? Walk us through that.
So officially, it wasn't until 6th grade when the Fern Creek Optimist program got stood up. But prior to that, my parents being from Northern Illinois up in Rockford, my mom specifically being very involved with wrestling throughout her life up there, just having some mentorship that she could go along and seeing the teams and that nature. Kind of brought that to my brother and I. My brother kind of paved the way when they moved down from Illinois to Kentucky in Louisville. Mm-hmm. And he wrestled at Fern Creek as well. Ended up placing 7th his senior year at 119 in 2002.
Okay. And, Jake's a big reason why we got linked up. He reached out to me on Facebook and
to the awards area for the presentation of the 112-pound medals. 7th place from Fern Creek, Jake Wood. 6th place from Bay Street, Matt Rutledge.
I got your number and all that. We've been trying, it seems like, for a few months to get lined up, but between wrestling season and your schedule and your duties, it's been difficult. But today we got it lined out, and I'm glad that we were able to get it all worked out here. So you come in. Do you stay with the Fern Creek program all the way through? Do you go to a club program in Louisville, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the big piece to it was Coach Mark Hitchings, mm-hmm. Jeff Branch, Todd King. They came together as a group, and they started the Fern Creek Optimist program, and really pioneered and catapulted Fern Creek getting back on the map and getting that name back out there. We did a lot of local during the in-season portion, but that really was I would say almost mildly interesting for the program. Where we really made our money was in the off season, when we would have whether we'd go to Ohio, Indiana, or we would host various states and great competition along the way to come to Fern Creek and wrestle, whether it be modern day Indiana or going up to Milford, Ohio, things of that nature. That it helped us expand our not only wrestling knowledge, but to see hey, it's not just just in this area of wrestling. There's a lot of great talent out there, and it really helped us understand we got some work to do, and as it's shown through the history so far, people are taking that to heart and really getting after those camps and right. Starting to expand their wrestling.
And before because there's a lot to unpack there, and there's a few things you hit on that I definitely want to talk about. Before we go any farther, you mentioned Todd King. Fern Creek has 3 most outstanding wrestlers: Mark Thomas, 1977, Todd King, 1982, and then Don Blevins, 1993. 3 team state championships, 1975, 1984, and 2015. And they have, I believe now the number is 37 individual state champions. The most recent as of this filming was Gabby Wilson, the girl heavyweight that was just absolutely dominant in the state finals this year, or the state tournament, I should say, altogether for the first girl state championship. So just a phenomenal history there at Fern Creek, a great tradition. But you talked about off-season work, and before we started filming, I mentioned that we just finished up state last weekend as of this filming, and you've already got clubs and teams and everybody trying to get like superstar teams and all-star teams going to Virginia Beach, Iowa, Nebraska, different places. And that is really now what it takes. I mean, I'm not saying there's not an outlier. There's not somebody that's just a genetic animal or just has a God-given talent for whatever. But if you're not competing, I don't want to say all year because you don't want to burn yourself out. But if you're not going out 2 or 3, 4 times in the off season and seeing different competition from different states, there's some regions you may not even make it out of the region now, let alone make it onto the podium. So, and that's just my advice. Take it or leave it. Same thing with Caleb. I mean, it worked out pretty good for him, but nowadays the wrestling is growing. And if you're not pushing yourself, I hope you enjoy, coming to the state tournament and watching from the stands, because I doubt you'll be out there competing. I mean, that's just the way it is. So speaking of state tournament, let's talk about your state tournament run. 2004, you're a freshman, 103 pounds, and you come in third place. But let's go over your bracket here, because you told me a story that we have to get on the channel. I didn't know it until, you said it. It was amazing. You get to the second round. Of course, we have 2002, we started the 32-man brackets, but you get to the second round and you drop a 2-1 decision to Nick Corey from Perry County Central. Okay, fair enough. You get to the consolation blood rounds and you get a fall over future 3-time state champion from Wayne County, Travis Sullivan, in 39 seconds. Now, Travis goes on, 05, 06, 07 state champion. He was in the finals. 08 comes up a little bit short against Corey Spencer from Johnson Central. But, you beat a pretty good wrestler there with Travis, especially a 39-second fall. Travis's 05 video is on the channel. But what I want to talk about is your third and fourth place, who goes for third, who goes for fifth. You wrestle Nick Corey again, and you win a 6-3 decision. So you go on, he beat you once, you beat him once, you go on to get third place, which is amazing. But I think the story is the friendship, the bond that you and Nick was able to ascertain away from the mat. So kind of walk us through, if you would, how you and Nick know each other, or knew each other, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of walk the dog on this one. So second round, Nick and I meet in the state tournament. He beats me 2-1. Just phenomenal on his feet. His defense was, bar none. It was great. I couldn't get a shot to save my life against him.
Yeah.
But we get to the consolation semis, and never had wrestled Nick before the state tournament, so I kind of had a little bit more of a read on him, and I was able to capitalize on a few opportunities to get the W 6-3. But more importantly, my brother called me while he was at Eastern Kentucky for his senior year when Nick was a freshman, and he said, "Hey, guess who's next to me?" He's like, "Nick Corey." I was like, "You got to be kidding me! What a small world." And Nick was in the Army ROTC program down there at EKU. I was on my way shortly after to come join him on a scholarship. And so I got to be with Nick for a full year while I was a freshman there. And I believe he was a junior. Sadly, summer after my freshman year, Nick passed away from a car accident. We got pretty close as friends and getting to know each other a lot more. But, he's a guy to this day. He was always one that was driven. He had a passion for being in the military, for wrestling, his whole family. Just a phenomenal group of people. I mean, to the point that, I even have them tattooed on my body as a remembrance, and, miss them every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if you've been around wrestling in the eastern part of the state or even the state of Kentucky, you probably have saw Nick's dad, Major Tim Corey, United States Army Major Tim Corey, at meets. He's done a lot. Major Corey, that is, done a lot for wrestling in the Perry County area, Perry County Central High School. I'm not exactly sure how long Major was involved with the program, but I know he's been around, I believe, since I wrestled in the early or late 90s, early 2000s, even up until he was at some meets. This year, they actually, I don't remember the kid's name, but they actually gave a scholarship, the Major Tim Corey scholarship, to one of the Perry County seniors. So that was kind of cool they done senior night and all that, and it was kind of cool to be there. But, the Corey family's been around for a long time in the sport. And you're talking about in the summer, I actually wrote down or typed in my notes, it was the summer of 08, because I don't know who it was with Perry County. I don't remember, but they called one of the parents or somebody called me and said, "You're not going to believe this, but Nick Corey died in a car wreck." And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And it was a blow to that family and that program, because you're always seeing him and Chris coming back and helping or coaching, or if they had something going on with the meet, they were always there. So I didn't know. I had no idea you guys were that close. So it's amazing what this series has been able to pull out as far as stories go, because that story, I mean, you knew it, your family knew it, but I'm sure people that knew Nick, and I'll send this video to some of Nick's family, that way they can send it to Major and see that. But it's just amazing what we've been able to pull out, and the stories we've been able to hear that would have otherwise just been a very small circle, if you will.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to direct your attention to the awards area, where they will recognize the 2004 103-pound medalists.
That side of the tripod. That side, all right?
Sixth place, from Perry County Central, Nick Corey. Third place, from Fern Creek, Caleb Wood.
But 2005, though, is your year. You're a sophomore, 112 pounds. You've been to the big dance. You've been on the podium. You ended up on an odd side of the podium, which is always good to be on an odd side of a podium instead of the even side. May not have been the result you wanted as a freshman, but at least you know what to expect. At least you're not coming in, not knowing what to expect. Not every wrestling tournament is the same. People don't understand that. At wrestling tournaments, yes, it may be the same competition. You're wrestling, but you can just feel when something's on the line. You can just tell when people know, okay, this is the state championship. What I do this weekend is going to follow me forever. I know I gave my best. I know I probably laid an egg here. And it's great with this series to hear the stories of the gentlemen and even the women we've been able to talk to so far about knowing, or have them say something to the effect of, I knew what my best was, and I couldn't leave Lexington, I couldn't leave Frankfort, I couldn't leave wherever it is without giving my best. That's what, people's been beat out in the semis or got beat in the finals. They come back the next year, they win it. They were like, when I left that gym in Louisville, whenever I left Atherton, when I left the horse park, whenever I left the dungeon in Frankfort, after getting beat, I made the mental decision, that's it. I'm never getting beat again. I know that wasn't my best. I know what my best is. And daggone it, next year, they're going to see it. And the jump from third place to first place really isn't that big on the podium. But what you have to do to get from that 3 spot to that 1 spot on the podium, there's a lot that goes into it. So what did you do for the people that are out there, the season as of this filming? Of course, we know we don't want to timestamp ourselves, but the wrestling season for 2024 ended. What did you do coming into that sophomore year that prepared you? That was like, okay, this is it. Next year, ain't nobody touching me. What did you do?
First step was, you play Monday morning quarterback. You got to go back to the film. You got to study. You got to study yourself first off, and then you got to study your opponents. The ones that are coming back, those seniors that are gone, don't worry about them anymore. Just focus on how you wrestled against them. But, the wrestling and focusing on, hey, how did that guy wrestle? A lot of the, commonalities that wrestlers have that are their go-tos, those aren't going to fall off their trick of the trade, if you will. So, focusing on the things that you can to really understand how they wrestle, how you can improve your style of wrestling. I mean, I switched my feet up come sophomore year. I was usually a right lead foot. Sophomore year, after studying a lot of tape, everyone's a right lead foot. No one wants to wrestle someone who's got a left lead foot. So I switched it up. It paid huge dividends. It confused a lot of people in their timing and how they're taking their shots. Other pieces to it is, getting out there and not being afraid to lose. Get out to those national tournaments. Get out to those camps that are hard. Go to those state champ camps. Go to those intensive training camps, the technique camps, things of that nature. My go-to was Northern Illinois with Dave Grant, a former wrestler at Tate's Creek.
Yep, but you're exactly right.
He was up at Northern Illinois as the head coach, so had some roots to go back to. And I wrestled as 125-pounder every day or every opportunity that I had, and he beat the crap out of me every day. But you know what? It was a learning experience where he was teaching me some things, and it was building that grit, that perseverance, resiliency just to keep going no matter what's going on, what the time clock says. Finding that extra gear to find that next level of where you need to be to become a state champ.
Absolutely. And funny you should say that, talking about Dominic. Of course, Dominic Black was a NCAA All-American, 4th place at University of West Virginia. And you got Dave Grant, was a NCAA Division I All-American at UNI. Dave Barnes, Division I All-American from Simon Kenton at Miami of Ohio. Dominic Black at West Virginia. You have Kyle Rochelle, 2-time NCAA All-American from University of Wisconsin. And then, even though they didn't stay here very long, you have to throw in David Carr. He wrestled at Woodford County one year. He's probably going to win it. He's already a one-time state or a one-time NCAA champion. He'll probably do it again. And then the gentleman from Penn State, Mark Hall, wrestled at Raleigh. He come up short in the finals, but still he wrestled 1 year in Kentucky. So very, very, very select few Division I All-Americans that have come through Kentucky. And people forget about Dave. He actually wrestled Larry Gibson from Louisville Trinity in the finals in 1980. Come up a little bit short. I've been trying my best to find the 1980 state finals so we can get with Grant and get every single Division I All-American from Kentucky on the channel. Just can't find the tape. I've looked. We got people digging. We just can't find it. But 2005, though, you start off your state tournament with a 26-second fall against a fellow Louisvillian, Brian Bland from Central. 26 seconds. Sometimes you got to come out and make a statement and let the world know, hey, I'm here, deal with it, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Second round, you're wrestling Clayton Stalker from Anderson County. You win a 14-4 major decision. There's that word again, major decision. I knew I was going to be able to throw it in there. Clayton goes on to get 5th place that year.
Mm-hmm.
You get to the quarters, you're wrestling Rob Egan from Dixie Heights. You win a squeaker, a 7-5 decision, man. You remember much about that?
Yeah. Nighttime quarterfinals.
Yep.
Had never been there. A little bit of a different atmosphere for my internal clock, and went into the match a little lackadaisical, and third period comes around. Coach looked at me and said, "Snap out of it. It's time to go." And had some mishaps in the match, but we were fortunate enough to come out on top in overtime.
I hate to, use the basketball phrase here on the channel, but in March Madness, you hear the talking heads, coaches, players that's been there before, whatever. They say survive and advance.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be
Yeah.
pretty. It doesn't have to be spectacular. As long as you're moving along in the championship flight or championship bracket, you're doing something right. So that was a survive and advance type of a match. Now I was at this state tournament in 2000. I was at the 05 and 06 state tournament as a spectator, and the your semifinals match, I was sitting with a bunch of people. Like when the video comes up, I'll show you where I was sitting. But I was sitting around a bunch of the Dunbar fans, and they had already penciled in your opponent going into the finals. I remember them saying that. I remember hearing them say that Tyler was going to make it. But you win another squeaker, a 10-8 decision, and you're in the finals. Tyler goes on in 07, and he's the 125-pound state champion. Tyler goes on to get third place this year. But it's a good thing you didn't hear the Dunbar crowd, right?
Hey, you know what? Maybe I thank the Dunbar crowd for
Yeah, well, true.
maybe jinxing them a little bit. I know
Yeah.
it was a last second takedown to get it 10-8, and only a few seconds left. I just had to ride for about 5 or 6 seconds.
I believe that, and I think it was 05 that Jacob Merton had that really tough semifinal match against Rob Smith. And I don't know, I could be totally off on my time, even though Jacob was 135. For some reason, I was thinking that, like, after your match ended, it was like right there on the same mat, or the one right there, like in front of where we were, because the Dunbar crowd was just like, after he got beat, was deflated, and then Merton's match started. So I think I'm pretty close on that. I could be mistaken, but for some reason, when I was getting your stuff together, I was thinking, I believe that's right. But you're in the finals against Cody Lewis of Woodford County.
The old rival.
Yeah. So you win your semifinals match, knowing that you're going to the finals as a sophomore. What's going through your head? What do you do? Do you go back to the hotel room? Do you go eat? What do you do? Talk to us.
Well, first thing, I came off the mat after semis. I walked up to the Fern Creek stands where we were sitting. My dad looked at me and said, Cody's in the finals. I said, let's do it. Like, that was the only words I said to him. It was not foreign territory that we've never wrestled. We've been wrestling each other since 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was a moment where my coach said, hey, go back to the hotel, get a nap, get a lot of, good food in you. And then, we just studied previous tapes and just kept going forward from there. It was a pretty spectacular moment that, Cody and I, through the years, we got to actually meet in the state finals to do it one last time.
Yeah. And that's something that has kind of been lost since we moved to the horse park, is you hear stories, because I like to ask guys that were at the dungeon, did they go back to their hotel room and, sleep and eat, whatever. But now at the horse park, even though it is a bigger arena, we're so far away from the hotels, there's no way somebody could go back and even think about getting a nap in or whatever, because we roll so quick through the placements. The semis are in the morning, and we usually start the middle rounds about, this year we started at 3. So, I mean, if you're going back to the hotel, by the time you get there, get back, you're not getting any sleep at all. So it is kind of cool to know you could just go on the elevator, walk across that sky bridge, hit the elevator, you're there. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So you talked about Cody being an old rival, started wrestling each other about 8th grade. Did you wrestle each other like in the previous, like earlier in the year, or?
Yeah. So King of the Bluegrass was our first finals match against each other in that 2004-2005 season. Woodford County Invitational. So we were 1-1 after that one, and then the South Oldham Dragon Invitational was the third one before the finals.
I got you. Yeah, that the Woodford County Invitational and the Dragon. Now there's about 3 or 4 tournaments. The Woodford County, the Dragon, the Rowell Rumble. I think that's what they call it, the Rowell Raider Rumble. And there's usually 1 or 2 more where you see people only come just to see one specific kid or one specific wrestler for their team to say, okay, this is who you're probably going to be facing in the finals. Let's see what let's see what they are. Let's go. Let's do it. If you lose here, it's not a big deal. At least we know what we're up against. If you get killed, we got a lot of work to do. So it's kind of cool that we have those tournaments. In Kentucky, it's such a spread out state. I mean, it is. You got teams that don't see each other but one time a year at the state tournament, if you're lucky. And so many different styles, so many different, I guess, philosophies on how to wrestle. Like, Wayne County is going to be an upper body, throw you, whip type of a offense. Most of your Louisville area schools, they're going to be really good at breakdowns, run turns, or tilts and cradles, that kind of stuff. There's a few teams that are just straight up neutral, or at least nowadays anyway. They have, I don't want to say no offense on up top or bottom. They're more takedown, cut you, takedown, cut you, takedown, cut you. If we can get a half, we'll get a half. But so many different styles. Had you kind of thought along the season, okay, I'm wrestling Cody Lewis in the finals?
Of how I want to wrestle him?
No. Did you envision or know going into the state tournament that you were going to be wrestling Cody?
So coming out of regions and seeing the bracket, the likelihood of Cody making the finals was pretty high. Just looking at the bracket, not to say that he had an easy bracket by any means. Right. Having both of us on the opposite side, it's like, okay, hey, I know on his end of the bracket, it's pretty favorable for him. And on my side, myself and Tyler Volk are really the 1-2 of who would go next.
I got you. I like asking guys that question because not everybody, but for the most part, it's something to the effect of, I knew I was going to be wrestling so-and-so, and I knew whenever they was on the opposite side of the bracket, I knew that's who I was going to be wrestling. It was either going to be that, or the state championship was going to be decided in the semis. So I would say from my freshman year, I kind of learned a costly lesson in that of overlooking and looking past people. Same side of the bracket at 103 in my freshman year, it was me and Kyle Rochelle. And I had my eyes on Kyle the whole time. And I looked past Nick Corey, and lo and behold, there I was sitting in consolations. I can understand that. I can understand you. If you didn't know, both of Kyle's 04 and 05 videos are on the channel. Kyle, his 05 video was our video number 200 that we did. So we are going to pull up your match video, and there's Sullivan and Adam Carr at 103 pound face. This video has the face off, the match, and the medal ceremony. Man, let's do this.
At the 112-pound weight class from Woodford County, a freshman with a record of 38-5, ranked number 2 in the state, Cody Lewis.
Cody comes up with that trademark blonde hair.
From Fern Creek, a sophomore with a record of 42-1, ranked number 1 in the state, Caleb Wood. At the 119-pound weight class.
There Travis is after his first round pin.
Yeah, I did not think he was gonna end the match that quick. I need a little more preparation, but he decided to take him out in about a minute.
Yeah. He whenever we done his video, you can see him. He's pinned right, and it would have been quicker, but I mean, I wasn't the ref on that one. But it looks like he come out, man, and he was just a little Tasmanian devil there.
Oh yeah, there's the classic Woodford, golden black.
Golden black, yep. That trademark blonde hair. They had a state champion this year, and he had his bleach blonde, buddy. I'm talking not early 2000s Eminem music video blonde.
Oh man.
All right, so you guys come in there. Barnett's giving you some instruction. Now, from neutral here, what are we looking to do? Knowing that you've wrestled him a few times, knowing what you're good at, what he's good at, what was your game plan?
Inside collar ties, getting that wrist and arm control was key. Every time me and him wrestled, we both were always fighting for that. Whether it was Cody getting his shots, my go-to was always a barrel roll. So getting that arm, really, really locked down. And one, it's good for defense, but once you can start getting that weight shifted from them on top, you can start to get that leverage to get those points.
Wrestling hard here. We're out of bounds. Neutral.
This is definitely some first round jitters going on.
I can imagine. And if you were never at the dungeon, the videos are great, but the atmosphere just doesn't get done justice the way that the crowd was into it. The glow sticks, the spotlight, all that. It was just a special atmosphere.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I heard the crowd the whole time until I stepped on the mat and everything just went silent.
I can believe that. Now, do you have a lot of family in the crowd here?
Oh, yeah, everybody's there.
I got you.
And right there, as his weight shifted and it gave me the leverage to dump at that point.
So you get your takedown. It's like you're trying like a head lever there, work some type of bar series.
Yeah, that's been a Coach Hitchings trademark right there. He taught us that from day one. Always work for the head levers.
And speaking of Coach Hitchings, have you seen his 1981 review video on the channel?
I did. I watched it last week.
Yep. So Cody gets his one. We're back neutral. It had to feel good to get a takedown, though, right?
Honestly, it was kind of a sigh of relief. When we wrestled each other, it usually came to, hey, who's going to get that first takedown? That's going to really set the tempo for the rest of the match.
As a very fast-moving first period.
Oh, yeah.
Very fast. He wins the first, and you're going to take down. So now on the bottom here, are we looking to hit a switch, stand up, get away?
Likely escapes, especially against Cody. On bottom, trying to get any type of switch or anything, it's pretty difficult. He had a great, posture when he was on top for riding. Put a lot of pressure on the head. I mean, as you see, he gets that chest right up on those shoulder blades and up onto your neck. So it's pretty difficult to do anything of that nature. I mean, as you can see, but it's definitely the escape route is the plan.
Yeah. He's got a good ride going on there. Look, from this angle, it looks like you're trying to get some hand control and come up.
Yeah, just break those wrists. And Cody and a lot of the Woodford County boys, their signature lace where they would throw you, coming underneath your collarbone to your leg. So that was definitely a cautionary thing for me.
And you get your one right there.
Yeah, right on the edge. I was kind of surprised that they gave it.
That's a good call by Barnett. Now I see some coaches back in the corner there standing up. Who's that in your corner?
So I got Coach Jeff Hall and Jeff Branch.
Okay. Move these daggone referees out of the way so we can see. Referees always getting in the way, man. What are we doing? Nice shot there. He's able to stuff it. You're working for a dunk. Nothing yet. And that was a big takedown right there, man. That was a big takedown.
Yeah. Being able to get underneath that deep and, just going my go-to, just barrel rolls every time.
That was big. And that's the end of the second period. So his choice looks over at Coach Parks and Coach Carr, and whenever he showed neutral. Were you surprised by that?
Um, kind of. He was able to escape before. I thought he was going to go down, and I would try to get some time off the clock to ride him, but eventually I knew he was going to get out.
Yeah.
I mean, in my mind during this portion of it, I know it's almost a desperation call at this point of, either trying to throw me, easy, quick headlock, something that's going to try to get me to my back so we can get that 2 and then maybe a 2 or 3 near fall.
Right. Now, right there, Barnett hit you for stalling, which, I mean, good call, backing up,
No, I'd agree with that.
Now, right there, point, that was a pretty good. Whenever he snapped you down right there, were you thinking, "Oh crap"?
That one hurt a bit. Come to find out after the state tournament, I ended up breaking my elbow in this match.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
That's something nowadays that you really don't see too much of, are those hard snaps.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, youngsters, those are legal. They just are.
I wish we could have had a little more time to battle that one out. I just got his legs up.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're back neutral here. You're up 4 points. Now, had he, whenever you guys had wrestled before, he's trying to pummel in there, trying to get for a throw, like a desperation throw. Had he been able to throw you any match this year, or?
No, no throws by either one of us ever. There were some good attempts, but they would either stale out or
okay.
lose the grip.
I just was curious because, I mean, most of the time, that's a desperation move, but maybe they saw something before or something on film that you were maybe overextend a little bit too much. I didn't know if that was something that he was able to hit on you before.
Yeah, so if you look at my stance whenever I'm up at neutral, the one thing that, well, we're probably not going to see it now.
Now right here, he gets a takedown, and you do an excellent job keeping yourself out of a near fall criteria, because there is no near fall criteria, just the takedown.
Yep.
That was an excellent defense on your part. It really was. I think if 3 or 4 more seconds, it may have been a different story, but
yeah, we might be seeing overtime.
Yep. There you go, man. You get your hand raised. Come over, shake Coach Hart's and Coach Carr's hand. And get the headgear toss, get a jump. Here's the medal ceremony. I believe I see a "Be All You Can Be." Maybe it was a foreshadowing of you winning with that Army sign in the background there.
Fifth place from Anderson County, Clayton Scott.
Of course, you wrestled Clayton there. Coach Padilla, much respect for Coach Padilla. There's Val. Got the shades on, looking cool, man.
Dunbar coming in a limousine that year in the state tournament.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. There's Cody.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 112 pounds, champion from Fern Creek High School, Caleb Wood.
Got a big cheering section, sounds like, giving Fern Creek fans the little salute there. Just excellent performance there. And we like to ask everybody the same question after they've not watched their tape in a while. But outside of you winning, of course, does the match play out the way you remember it?
Oh, absolutely. Very vivid. It is something that does not escape your mind.
I got you. I understand. And you didn't have to be flashy. You didn't have to hit the spinning moss covered 3-handled family gradunzel. You done what worked. You done what you were good at. And that is something that younger wrestlers, they go to talk about going to camps and whatever, is they'll go to these camps, they'll do off season, whatever, and they'll come back in season and they have this repertoire. It seems like 10,000 moves that they know, but they're not good at but maybe a couple of them. So, with that being said, before we go on to anything further, talk to the younger wrestlers that are in high school, middle school, elementary school that are going to watch this, and give them some coaching, some directives, if you will, however you want to word it, about doing what you know, and what you know can get you to the top of the podium.
Yeah, I'll tell you, whether it's in season or off season, you got to go back to the basics, to your basic stand-ups, single legs, double legs, your switch, everything that you learn at a very young age. You got to do thousands of reps at that. You got to have some mastery within that foundation. If you don't have that, you try to throw your slick moves, your fancy moves that you learn at a camp over one summer. It may work a few times, but it's not going to pay dividends when it comes to the state tournament. I focus strictly on the things that from 6th grade that it clicked, and I focused on those every single day until I became a complete master at doing those things, whether it's a sweep single, or hitting a cradle, everything of that nature, and just always fine tuning that to make sure whether it's the timing or even down to your grip, what works best to get that win, to get those points. Without those, you're going to fall short. I mean, you look at Jordan Burroughs, and what's his go-to? It's a basic double leg, and he has mastered that to the point that he's an Olympic champion.
Yeah, absolutely. And you, with your military background, being a commissioned officer in the Army, I mean, you hear and I'm not saying you, but just the general public, they'll see the documentaries, they'll see the whenever recruits arrive at boot camp or whatever, and then you'll see them go through their journey, and then 2 years later you'll catch back up with them, and they're doing something with new recruits or whatever, and it seems like it's a reoccurring circular conversation, is you will always revert back to your programming, how you're programmed, how you've been trained. And that's really the reason why the military boot camps are so structured. They're so programmed, if you will, is because it kind of takes the thinking out of it. You're kind of like I don't want to use the word robot, but you are programmed to do a certain thing a certain way, and it's the right way to do it. It's not something that somebody just randomly made up. Hey, this is a proven method. This works. This is why we do it. Maybe the military does it a little bit more intense than what wrestling coaches do. Some wrestling coaches, I don't know, but it's for the benefit of the soldier, of the wrestler, to say, hey, we're training you, we're teaching you, we're coaching you the right way. If you will do this, you can win matches. If you do what we show you, what you've learned in boot camp or whatever school you go to, MLS school, whatever, when your life is on the line, what you learned here can get you home safely, can get you and your buddies out safely. So, youngsters, listen to what Caleb says. He knows what he's talking about. If you have a couple flashy moves, great. But be able to have some stand-ups that nobody can stop, a half Nelson nobody can stop, a single leg that nobody can stop, a few pinning combinations on top that nobody can stop. And then once you get good at that, then you might want to throw in something slick. But until then, stick to the basics.
Absolutely. It's all about building that muscle memory.
Mm-hmm. So based on what you've seen, what you've done, about how many reps does it take for a new soldier to get muscle memory of something? Good question.
It's hard to say. It's years. It's
Okay,
years of practice
I got
to
you.
build that up. And you know, it's in the instance that you got to fight atrophy, whether you're going to a rifle range or you're just doing a physical fitness test.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not consistently perfecting your craft or you know shaping it in some way to improve, you're going to slowly you know see some deterioration in your abilities. So it falls you know whether you're in the military or you're a wrestler, you got to be able to balance that and continue to refine everything that you're doing.
Absolutely, and that's couldn't said it better myself. Now let's talk about your 2006 season. You're a junior, 119 pounds. You come in 8th place.
Mm-hmm.
So, was it the weight jump? Kind of walk us through that.
I wouldn't necessarily as the weight jump. Obviously there is a bit of a difference between 12 and 19. You see a lot more muscle. That's kind of like, in my opinion, the beginning weight class of where you start to see some people with some actual, you know, muscle to them. Going into King of the Bluegrass, ended up getting 1st place. Faced a guy from South Oldham. I think he ended up winning it that year. The name escapes me, but you know, going to that tournament, you know, head held high, coming off a great run the previous year, and had some unfortunate injuries throughout the year on my shoulder. Fought through it throughout the entirety of the year, but we had some accolades along the year. But come state tournament, just wasn't in the cards. Come again, 2nd round.
Yeah. The gentleman's name from South Oldham was Daniel Newmer.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Daniel
Yeah,
Newmer.
he was I have never met a wrestler that was more in shape than that man. I believe it was a Kentucky cross country state champ.
Oh,
But
wow.
that man is 100 miles an hour for 6 straight minutes.
I believe that. So, 2007, your senior year, you're back at 119 pounds. Walk us through that year, if you don't mind.
Kind of a dark year for me, honestly. Coming off of you know kind of a disappointing year, my junior year. Working through practice, heart kind of fell out of the state of wrestling or the sport of wrestling a little bit, to the point that I had to step away until the Jefferson County tournament, just to kind of you know relook. And I talked to a lot of my mentors to kind of help me and guide me, and you know, hey, what do I really want out of my senior year? So I started wrestling back come Jefferson County tournament about halfway through the season. Did pretty decent all the way up till state. Was able to get into a lot of the finals, things of that nature. And state tournament came around, and I ended up wrestling Matt Zarth from Henry Clay.
Oh, yeah.
Great wrestler. During the match, had some pretty significant back issues that happened around third period. I had some pretty bad spasms, and that knocked me out by injury default.
Man, sometimes, man, I hate to say it, but that's unfortunately the way it goes. I mean, it really is. But you were able to get one, and
Yep.
I'm sure that you probably wanted a little bit more, but at least that one, man, like I said earlier, you know what your best is, and you were able to pull it out when you needed it. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you, you know, it's a great ride. It's a heck of a high to be up on top of that podium for a state title. I'll tell you, you know, all the, you know, younger wrestlers that are, you know, wrestling right now, you're going to look back on the ones that you didn't get. And that's where you're going to build your character off that. You're going to find who you really are.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And before we wrap this one up and put a bow on it, I'd like to give everybody an opportunity. Is there anything else you'd like to say or add or take away for the greater good?
One thing I'll say is, you know, be resilient in everything that you do in life. It doesn't necessarily pertain to just wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
We're all going to be wrestlers, you know, whether it's only for 4 years, 2 years, or you go collegiate and you wrestle even further. The big takeaway is that, you know, in life, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and
Yeah.
the mindset to keep pushing forward and never giving up. That's really is what's going to be the mark of a true champion.
And I think that's a great place to end, a great closing statement, if you will. So, Kayla, man, I really appreciate you being here doing this. I know a lot of the Fern Creek fans are going to be interested in getting to see it, because what we've been able to do is with this series is connect the dots, connect the years, connect the first state tournament 1964 to 2024 as of this filming, connect from the Mississippi River to the Kentucky West Virginia border, connect the Ohio River area down to the Tennessee border, and everywhere in between, no matter what school it is, because for so long wrestling's been hid in gyms. It's been hid on Saturdays or a random Tuesday, whatever it is, a duel or whatever. And it hasn't got the publicity. It hasn't got the platform that it deserves. And that's what I love about this channel, this series, is finally being able to put, instead of just seeing Caleb Wood, state champion, 112 pounds, we now have the video. We now have your story. We now know the backstory of your state championship, and we can pull up and say, oh, wow, I see Caleb Wood's name on the banner at Fern Creek. Wow, let's go watch his video. This Mark Hitchings guy, let's go watch his video. AJ Bender, Cole, whoever it is, Rick McCarthy. We can watch all these Fern Creek guys and not just see a banner, but we can see their match. And that was something, in my opinion, that was missing for so long with Kentucky wrestling, is not being able to celebrate our history, our state championships, state champions like we should be. And now I'm glad that I'm, able to lead the charge on that. And it's stories like yours. The story about Nick, I would have never knew that until you shared it, and I'm glad you did. Little things like that we've been able to preserve and bring out has just made this whole series the success that it has been. And I can't wait to get your video out and let the world see it so everybody can laugh at my pun of the major decision. So, man, I really appreciate you being here. I do. Thank you so much. Thanks to Jake for getting us hooked up. I really appreciate it. But, guys, that's all that we have. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys and girls on the mats.